Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video of Fox Flicks on What Culture Gaming. Today we're going to be looking at the top 10 hardest Souls bosses that aren't even bosses. Let's hop in and see just which 10 monsters made up the list.
We've all been there. You've just successfully trivialized a particularly formidable boss. You're feeling 10 foot tall and ready to take on the world.
Yes!
And moments later, you stumble across some fresh monstrosity from the interminable nightmare
Hold on. Yeah, be right back. And we're back, sorry about that.
factory that is the brain of Hidetaka Miyazaki. You pause, unsure of how to proceed with this new foe, but confident as you are due to your most recent boss, assured that you have
egotistical.
indeed got good, you attack, and promptly shuffle off your mortal coil. Such is the life of a FromSoft player. Here we present to you a tour of some of the most excruciatingly cruel denizens of the From Software universe. Whether they be skulking beasts of Yharnam, dwellers of some of the more torturous ends of the lands between, or good old-fashioned franchise favorites repurposed across different franchises. I'm Just from What Culture, and here are the 10 hardest Soulsborne enemies that aren't bosses. Number 10, Revenants. Elden Ring. The Revenants would earn an entry on this list based simply on how genuinely horrifying their appearance is alone. However, they're also a total nightmare for a variety of reasons. Revenants are one of those enemies that really punish certain builds, but can be dealt with much easier by others. If you're a two-handed aggressive type, you might struggle to deal with the Revenant's aggressive lunges and sneaky follow-ups. Try rolling side to side, never backwards. If holy damage and healing is more your bag, well, we can't promise you it'll be easy, but you should at least have a less rough go of it at any rate. Of course, a big part of the problem with these enemies, aside from them combining the most terrifying elements of zombies and spiders into one disgusting freak show, is their placement. Veterans of the Howling Tree may be dealing with trauma from encountering 5 Royal Revenants in one go. Like all enemies, however, there is a strategy for beating them, dependent on your build. In the case of most melee types, it can be rolling to the side, learning timing, and not getting greedy. For faith builds, healing spells and holy damage should do the trick.
Oh, hold on folks, we'll be right back. And we're back.
Number 9, Brain Suckers, Bloodborne.
Sounds like a leak.
Undoubtedly one of the most hated enemies of all time is the headhunting nightmare fuel delivered to us in Bloodborne, known as the Brain Sucker. Everything about these enemies is horrible, from the bone-chilling shrieking sound they make, to their gotcha placement in dark areas or hidden round corners, to their maddening attacks that hold you in place while they drain your hard-earned insight. Luckily, they're not too difficult to kill if it's a simple one-on-one duel, such as the first one you'll likely encounter in the Cathedral Ward. However, if you've ever gone out of your way to fight the optional boss, Erebritus, Daughter of the Cosmos, you've likely lost an ungodly amount of insight to these bastards along the way. In an almost pitch-black area of the game, you make your way cautiously through narrow corridors after having narrowly escaped death at the hands of 3 werewolves, all in one go, of course, just to find yourself being mobbed by these guys. Wherever possible, try to fight these guys one-on-one to avoid hemorrhaging insight. Number 8, Basilisks, Dark Souls 1-3 and Elden Ring.
That I can understand.
Oh, look at these funny little fellas. Hey, look, these little frog guys are I'm dead.
Oh, that thing is called a basilisk. Why is it named that?
I'm dead. How am I dead? This is the thought process during everyone's first experience with basilisks. When Miyazaki hits gold, he mines it for all it's worth. Of course, in this particular instance, we're not talking actual gold, but rather a particularly infuriating enemy. Of all the creations Miyazaki could choose to port across multiple games, he inevitably chose one of the most infuriating of all, namely the basilisk. New players might be initially confused as to why such unthreatening looking enemies would be so high on so many players' lists. One short encounter with a handful of them should be enough to answer those questions. Generally coming in swarms, the basilisks emit a black smoke that fills up a meter that, once full, grants the player instant death. It's therefore crucial that players are able to either eliminate all these devils in rapid succession, or they're able to employ hit-and-run tactics, getting away from the deadly smoke before their meter fills up. Easier said than done. Number 7, Bone Wheel, Dark Souls 1. Another highlight from the prolific nightmare circus that is the mind of Miyazaki comes the Bone Wheel. This entry comes with something of a caveat. It's not that these enemies are hard per se, but more so that they're just so ridiculous a concept and can demolish your health bar so rapidly on the off chance you get caught off guard by one. With this particular enemy, the difficulty is all about their placement. generally appearing just
Oh
as you round
boy.
a corner into an open space. A seasoned DS1 player will remember exactly where they're placed, and thus will rarely get caught by one. But if you're not expecting them, they'll roll obnoxiously into your life and subsequently end it before you can say, what the f is that? Another in
Yeah.
the long list of enemies in the FromSoft canon that are, let's be honest, a bit stupid. The Bone Wheel is nonetheless something of a beloved feature of DS1 among veterans, in that perverse love-hate sort of way that Miyazaki and his team seem to be particular masters of. Number 6. Warhawk, Elden Ring.
Oh, that
You know
sounds
what are
cool.
annoying to fight? Birds. So how can we make them even more infuriating? I got it. We'll put massive swords on their feet. This is how we imagine
Oh,
the Warhawk
great.
was born. Birds have long been an annoyance in FromSoft games. A nuisance, pecking away
I
at your
bet, considering that you don't have really many ranged weapons in any of those games.
health with their
all
extended
melee.
combos. They also often come in groups, but still, this was never too difficult, just annoying. Well, Miyazaki couldn't have that. Enter the Warhawks, gravity-defying birds of prey with swords attached to their bloody feet. If that wasn't a horrible enough proposition, they also frequently, and don't ask how exactly given their lack of actual claws, hurl exploding barrels at you before you can react, which
Huh?
begin a chain reaction of all the surrounding barrels in the area going up in flames, resulting in
How?
a very quick, very angry death. They're also placed in Stormvale
Huh.
Castle in a position so as to almost guarantee a death, hurling their barrels before the player has taken in their surroundings properly. So, thanks Miyazaki. Number 5,
How could I
Black
pick
Knight,
anything up?
Dark Souls 1 and 3. Who can forget their first experience with the Black Knight in DS1, strolling the streets of the Undead Burg thinking, this game isn't so difficult after all. And then you see him. He's bigger than you, stronger than you, and faster than you. Pathetically, you scramble away from him, but he will get you. In a display of pure hubris, many a player will hold a vendetta against this fellow and instantly return to enact their revenge upon him. This inevitably will lead the player to become awfully familiar with their nearest bonfire, awfully fast. The placement of this
Yeah.
enemy in such an early area of the game is a reminder, like the Asylum Demon, that you don't have to fight every enemy as you encounter it. Over time, the Black Knights of the
Yeah.
Souls franchise become somewhat easier. Indeed, in Dark Souls 3, once you advance sufficiently in the game, you might find yourself returning to the area leading to the Abyss Watcher's bonfire in order to farm one. This does not, however, take away from the sheer
okay.
devastation these relentless bastards can do to you should you be underleveled or even caught off guard by one. Number 4, Jailers, Dark Souls 3.
Huh.
The Irithyll dungeons are truly the
Why's it
work
called
of a
a jailer?
sadistic mind, an unforgiving, perverse, cruel mind. Widely considered the most frustrating location in all of Dark Souls 3, the dungeons are populated with a particularly maddening opponent. The Jailer feels like an enemy designed specifically to bring players back down to earth in a hurry, just as they
Is it called a jello just because it's in a prison? Probably. That most likely is why.
believe they're beginning to get good. Wielding a lantern that emits a gas, lowering players' maximum health rapidly, the Jailers also boast a soldering iron that pins the Ashen One in place, dealing devastating damage. If you
Oh
are
boy.
lucky enough to escape this weapon, good luck recovering since your health bar is now wildly diminished. The area they inhabit is also, unfortunately, a total maze, so the player may find themselves unable to avoid Jailers for some time until they get their bearings. Eventually, however, after many deaths and lost souls, you should be able to effectively circumnavigate these enemies, rushing past them on your way to the profaned capital.
Yes. Oop. Hold on, folks. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Number 3, Spear Adepts, Sekiro. Sekiro is a game that splits opinion. A departure from the tried and tested FromSoft formula in many ways, the combat system in this game is a million miles away from that of Dark Souls 1 in particular. The swordplay is
I
frenetic
bet.
and fluid, and it should go without saying, very punishing. The sword adepts are a particularly notable example of the punishing element of Sekiro. They're agile, hard-hitting, deal constant posture damage, and are unforgiving if you make a misstep. They require a
Oh,
familiarity
damn.
with some of the game's unique mechanics to fight effectively, such as Fistful of Ash, Mist Raven, or Mortal Blade, and a good sense of timing to catch them while they're up in the air with a well-placed shuriken. Don't expect to go on the offensive against these fellows. That's a quick way to get counted. Patience is
Yeah.
the name of the game. However, one of the small mercies granted to us by Miyazaki and co. is that these enemies can fortunately be bypassed. Of course, if you're any From Software
that's good,
veteran
at
worth your
least.
salt, you probably want to see what all the fuss is about, but don't say we didn't warn you. Number 2, Abductor Virgins, Elden Ring. You know an enemy is a
Huh.
particular ball ache when, after dying multiple times to it, you consult Reddit for the best way to deal with them. And the general consensus seems to simply be run. Yes, even FromSoft fans, these notorious get good masochists, completionists, and perfectionists know that sometimes it's just not worth the hassle.
God.
It must be said, the design for the Abductor Virgins is excellent. I mean, they don't make sense. They, along with the flame chariots in this game, seem to be propelled by something, but the Elden Ring world seems to be one of early medieval technology, meaning that magic should be the only explanation for it. Though it isn't apparent
that would
how,
explain
because
it.
we'd really like to use that magic and get a few of these things on our side, please. Luckily, there aren't too many of these enemies in the game, and generally they can be avoided. However, the most reliable way of killing them, if you really like torturing yourself, is to bait their grab attack, dodge it, and hit them while their body is open. Good luck with that one. Number 1. Winter Lanterns, Bloodborne.
Huh,
If
that's
ever
an
there was an
interesting
enemy you
name.
simply say, nope, I'm not gonna bother, and just run past entirely, it is the Winter Lanterns. Luckily, you can go through the entire game and not even encounter these particular monstrosities. However, FromSoft games breed and attract a certain kind of completionism, and
Oh,
so
God.
it's likely you've encountered these lovelies during a foray into optional parts of Murgo's Loft or the Nightmare Frontier. When you do first cross paths with these lovely ladies, you might initially think, oh, this
Ladies?
isn't too bad. They do, after all, only really have a highly telegraphed grab attack. However, within seconds, you will have experienced instant death due to a buildup of frenzy, and will be grappling with that familiar desire for revenge that so many FromSoft enemies cultivate. A few tries later, however, you will have probably decided it's better for your mental health overall simply to bypass these enemies, particularly on the bridge that leads to the Brain of Mensis. Not that this is much easier, mind you, as without official
What does frenzy do to you? Do you just like lose control and just not be able to block or something? I don't know.
and prompt use of sedatives and blood vials, you can still die instantly without so much as touching one of these things. That's the end of our list, but let us know down in that comment.
Well, folks, that's going to be the end of today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link will be in the description below, and I'll see all you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.